URHOBO Wadoo, URHOBOs of Warri again, and the Itsekiris. Now, I want to tell you how crafty the Itsekiris are when giving out information and documents to government. They manipulate documents. Of course, most of the Commission of Inquiry, you hear things like Idoko, Rodes Vivo, Dajuma, for people who have not stayed in Warri before, who don't know what Warri is. They will use documents to confuse them. And that was why I was saying that renaming, giving yourself another name and insisting on it is going to expose very many things. Now, let's look at the issue of the history of the Roman Catholic Church in Warri. You know, the headquarters of the Warri Diocese of the Roman Catholic Church is in Warri. Something happened in 2003. This is the book, Who Owns Warri? A Treatise for Peace by D.A. Obioma. We are on the forward, page XII, Roman numerals. This place is interesting to me. He said, recently, Itsekiri such as Ayomike and Ekpoku is still alive, Ayomike is dead, Kashid and Straw have tried to draw the Catholic Church in Warri into the conflict of the ownership of Warri. They wanted to use the history of Catholic Church to prove the ownership of Warri. And so they cited a reference of page 4 of the Catholic Church of Warri Directory, 2003. They were trying to claim that through the church, we want to know who owns Warri. So in the 2003 Catholic Church Directory, they made a claim. They said that the claim is that Portuguese Catholic priests were with Itsekiri in Warri in the 15th to the 18th century. You know, I told you people, go to the internet now. They will tell you that Portuguese missionary, the Capuchin, visited the city of Warri in 1690 and built a church in Warri called St. Anthony's Catholic Church. This is what they submitted to government as their claim, that in the history of the Catholic Church, the Portuguese visited Warri. And this is the history of Catholic Church, oh. Good. Now, that in the city of Warri, there was a church with an altar, a crucifix, statues of Mary and the apostles, and 2 candlesticks alongside. Then the impact of remission waned in Warri, and then the Itsekiri kingdom disappeared before the colonial era. Now, do you know what they did now? They did it as what? According to Bioma, they wanted to use it to knock out the Treaty of Agbara, which was signed in 1893. Because Agbara brought their own treaty in 1893. They are saying that, but the Portuguese met the king of Warri and built the Catholic Church with the Itsekiris in the 15th to 18th century, around 1690. Now, if the Catholic Church had anticipated that the statement could be skewed to favor Itsekiri against Agbara, they would doubtless have brought the Warri referred to between 15th and 18th centuries within the linguistic usage of the meaning of today. Warri of the Catholic Directory, 2002-2003, was Ode Shekiri. Opioma express that is writing it. So when I came here, that they said 2 Warri, old Warri, and new Warri, check that video. And that the Shekiri are now using that as an advantage against you. So you see what they are doing now. So those people, when they read it, they will say, And of course, the Portuguese actually wrote it. They will say, if Mr. Shekiri owns Warri now, they don't know that the Warri they are talking about is Ode Shekiri. You see how crafty these people are. If you cannot be crafty like them, they will outsmart you. Now, which Captain John Adam visited are described as a beautiful island. This Warri is not an island. The same Warri is referred to variously and hostily by Itsekiri themselves as Old Warri, as Ale Itsekiri, and Big Warri. You understand? So, he now said something. He said, from the record, we know that the colonial administration had its headquarters at Bobi in Benin River, called Shakiri Country, moved to Itsekiri, and moved again in 1996 to New Warri of the Agbara, renamed. It was the British that renamed Agbara, Agbasa, and Ubujo to Warri. And reordered by colonialism. In the same way as the Shakiri territories of Koko, Brisibe, Ebrohimi, Bobi, Jakpa, Ogeye, Intisi was named New Benin, but never belonged to Benin because the Oba of Benin never claimed overlordship. The Oba of Benin could have also claimed overlordship over all those Itsekiri villages because they were named New Benin and Benin River. But simply because they named this place New Warri, the Oluna extended his overlordship. And as I said, the quickest way now to asthma them would have been to give yourself another name, to cut yourself, because this is the history of the Catholic Church from Portugal. You can't change it. The Portuguese will submit, yes, we visited the city of Warri in 1690, and they built the Catholic Church in Warri. St. Anthony's Catholic Church is still there. They submitted. The British will say, you now bring Treaty of 1893. Which one is older? 1690 Church. But they don't know that the two are different places entirely. And that is why I said naming is causing problem. If you don't know, one of the major reasons you lose your land was the name Warri. If the land was leased on behalf of the chiefs of people of Agbasa, the result would have been different. If the land was leased on behalf of the chief and people of Warri, I, Don Numa, trader from Benin River, Don Numa never even said he came from Warri or Itsekiri. I, Ogbo Imuere of Buangwe, they don't even say he came from Warri. He said on behalf of the chiefs and people of Warri. Don't lease the land. They were leasing Agbasa land though. Why? Because they knew the British was calling Agbasa and Obujo Warri. So there was not a problem. Which Warri were they were talking about? Or the Itsekiri or this one? Unknown to Agbasa people. And when Agbasa went, Agbasa drew a survey plan. Agbasa land with a treaty which they wanted to use, but they didn't see as Agbasa treaty. The first thing was to attack that name Warri, remove it from that list. Just like the Sapele people did. On behalf of the chief of Sapele, then George Jackson now asked a question. Who were the chiefs of our people of Sapele as at 1908? They counted them. Ogodo, Omare, Ayomano, Ekadiku, Obobegi, and the rest. So, the question would have been, if they were saying, who were the chiefs and people of Warri as at 1908? Don Numa was the chief of Warri in 1908. Ogba Imuere was the chief of Warri at 1908. Skin was the chief of Warri at 1908. Nikoro of Okere was the chief of Warri at 1908. Ereku of Odion was the chief of Warri of 1908. Ogedegbe was the chief of Warri at 1908. The same thing to Igbi was the chief of Warri at 1908. So we don't know who they were talking about. Because we are sharing the same name with them. But if the chiefs and people of Agbasa at 1908, now Igbi now. Igbi, Otie, Igoroje, Okene, Udume Braye, Bazunu, Ejenao. Those were the chiefs and people of Agbasa as at 1908. But when you say the chiefs and people of Warri as at 1908, you can either call Ijo, you can call Itsekiri, you can call Urhobo. Meanwhile, the land being litigated was Agbasa land. That's why I said, remove yourself from give yourself another name. Closes the case. A beautiful name. Very, very crafty people. When they wanted to, all this paper they said they gave to, what do you call him? National Security Advisor. That they own Warri. That Ogbuja people have been banned from ever litigating in Warri. And they quote judgment. They will never talk about the full judgment at all. They will never. Just look at this one here now. They are saying that in the judgment that Ogbuja people were banned from ever litigating against the Itsekiri people in Warri GRA. And so they are saying in their quotation that the plaintiff are hereby precluded from litigating the said portion of land against the first and second defendant. Now, they didn't tell anybody that the second defendant was the Agbasa people. They didn't tell anybody that the second defendant was the Agbasa people. Just to deceive, as if they are only the beneficiaries of the judgment. They didn't tell anybody too that even in that same file, Okere too was also banned. The Olutu was also banned. They didn't tell the government that the two beneficiaries, the Itsekiri communal land trust of the Agbasa and the Itsekiri communal land trust have been dissolved. These are the kind of people you are dealing with. Very cunning and crafty. So, take the advice of Jesus Christ when you are dealing with them. Be ye wise as serpent, but in your wisdom, be innocent as a dove. Don't tell lies. Simply because the Itsekiri are lies, but be crafty like them. Get the truth. If they are interpreting it this way, say no. This is interpretation. And that is why I said no. Don't deny, like the Itsekiris, that Ogbuja people are not in Warri GRA. No. Maintain what your ancestors said. Your ancestors said there's a small area, about 360 acres, in which we gave to them. And that is the truth. Sam AC said it in court. And after that, the Ogbuja people filed notice of discontent. They said they don't want to continue with the case again. And that was why the court now, if it was not Sam AC that filed, that was the case that had been on since 1956. 8 years later, immediately Sam AC filed, which said they're not doing it again. And the judge, if you look at the judgment, the judge said, the second defender, which is Sam AC, said he has known all along that Ogbuja will run away. So, and again, when the matter came up, Ike Clark and Bejano Kubagba settled the matter between the two of them. So we cannot deny all those things. But Ogbuja must also recognize all these facts. And Agbasa must also recognize all these facts. And like I told you, government knows. Perhaps that was the reason why government refused the Ijaw people having a king there. I don't know, but I think so. So what they are not saying is that Agbasa owns Warri GRA, but Ogbuja people are also there. That is it. But these Itsekiri people, they are very crafty. You see, they will just quote document. They will not even supply the court judgment because most of the words, if you interpret it, it's against them. Wado,